Hello guys. Today I'd like to talk to you about a subject that I'm, shall we say, not very knowledgeable about, or that I know very well. And it's called health anxiety. In the past, I think they either used to call it hypochondri a person who has health anxiety is a hypochondriac. And I think the label was different, but it's roughly means the same, fear of various illnesses. But I think there's a new term, even like YouTubers who have health channels and focus on their health, they're actually labeled as having this kind of, maybe not health anxiety, maybe not hypochondriac, but there's another term, a new term, well, not new term, comparatively new term. So in this case, anybody who thinks too much about their health has a mental illness. So where do you draw the line, and who draws that line? So for example, I don't know, if you're really worried about your health, and like, as for myself, and as for many people, even some YouTube creators, they're normal people just like everyone else. They're on the outside famous, but on the inside have lots of problems, lots of health problems. And they don't think they have a mental health problem, but some people class them as having a mental health problem because they think about their health too much. Some people, the way they think, and I don't blame them, but the way they think is, drink, smoke, be merry, because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You can extend your life for what, 5 years, maybe 10 years. At the end of those 5 or 10 years, it's quality, not quantity, that is important. But in the mind of somebody who is like overly concerned about their health, I say overly concerned because that's what it seems like to other people. I think inside I realize, yes, I'm too concerned about my health. At the same time, how can you be too concerned? It's like saying, can you love your children too much? Can you love yourself and want to protect yourself and be healthy too much? I don't think you can't. I don't think you can. So where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line at diet, exercise? Like, in that case, don't do any exercise because you're going to die anyway. Don't follow any kind of healthy diet because you're going to die anyway. Don't sleep well. Just enjoy yourself because you're going to kick the bucket soon. And those very same people, if you apply the same logic, don't when you cross the road, don't look left and right because you're going to die anyway. They haven't really thought about the human being's natural instinct to survive, natural instinct to fight death, disease. We have a natural instinct, and maybe the mental health problem isn't really, maybe it's classed as a mental health problem, but it's just a natural, even if you can call it an exaggeration from the natural, but it's a more focused, you're more focused on protection, self-protection, self-defense, survival. But when does it get too much? Obviously, when it affects your life and you suffer from depression and anxiety. Yeah, of course. Some people, even billionaires, are thinking about this. Life extension, and they have regular, labs, regular tests, scans, blood tests, urine tests, different types of diagnostic tests, and because they've got lots of money, they can afford it. But would you class those people as mentally ill? Those people, like for example, Brian Johnson, he sold a company years ago for $800 million. He spends about $2 million on these diagnostic tests and on his health and trying to extend his life and reduce his biological age. Does he have mental illness? Obviously his brain works well enough to earn that kind of money. He's a billionaire. maybe on a case by case basis, you can have a look at people and say, maybe if I was a billionaire, I'd have much less stress, and I'd have people working for me. My brain would be really chilled out a lot. Maybe it wouldn't seem that I've got mental health problems, because money gives you choices. And you can choose where to live. You can choose whether you work or not. You can choose whether you do the dishes, or you can choose whether you can avoid like touch deprivation. You can go and have a massage. You can have a girlfriend, someone who touches you, hugs you. When you have money, you have choices. Unfortunately, people say, no, a woman loves you for who you are. Yeah. It's up to you to fix yourself. I tell you, that person, as soon as they have money, half of their problems are fixed. And the other half, a woman will ignore those other problems as long as these problems are fixed. You've got money to pay bills. You've got money to even pay a servant or whatever. You've got money to spend for nice clothes, for her as well, nice food. Because a woman does. I'm not saying a woman wants to live in luxury, but a woman wants to be safe and live in some kind of comfort, because it's less stressful, isn't it? I know, because I've lived that way, in comfort. And now I know that my money is dwindling. I've only got a certain amount of money for food every week. I've got stresses. I have to look after the dogs. I've got responsibilities, the business I have to think about, my health. Wow, so many bloody things. Whereas before, I didn't have to think about these things. Well, not so much. Yeah, so coming back to health anxiety, I've had health anxiety, I think. So when did it all start? When there was a period when I was shy in my life, in my teens, definitely shy, because I was an only child. I never played with, didn't have brothers or sisters, and I had just one cousin. Played with him when he used to come to the house. And then in my 20s, I started to become more shy, and I had what I read in the books was not before social phobia, it was erythrophobia. So I was afraid of blushing. To become red is like the worst thing. I would get panic attacks, couldn't breathe properly, confusion, and so these like simultaneously, I did read, because there was no internet. So I would go to the bookstore, or bookstore, look at the psychology section. They've got popular psychology, positive thinking stuff, yoga, that kind of like spiritual stuff. And I did see some books about, one was about fear, which was good, and another one was social phobia, and another one was on blushing. And I got those two books, 3 books, and I realized, oh, I have got social phobia, because I don't want to be around people. I feel, because it's people that bring this shame, this blushing feeling, and I kind of I figured out in my own brain, it is people. And it's not like if I was in a room full of elderly people in a nursing home, I could jump around, I can talk, I wouldn't blush, I wouldn't feel embarrassed, I wouldn't feel that social anxiety. Or if I was in a room full of babies who were sleeping or half asleep, or if I was in a room full of hamsters or dogs. The problem is, or was, still is, I suppose, the problem is the idea of, or the feeling that people, like human beings that can judge you. Because babies, children, and the elderly, dogs, animals, they can't judge you, or they won't judge you. So the problem is a judgment, being judged by others, like being, I don't know, the fear of being foolish, of looking stupid, those kind of things. There's a there's a fly that keeps going on Timmy's ears, and he hates it. So anyway, this started with shyness, became kind of a phobia, and it got worse and worse until when I was 28, I found out I was adopted, and that was a huge hit. That was a huge, like, emotional trauma. And in and around that time period, a few relatives passed away. They had cancer. When I found out that I was adopted, I thought, okay, logically, I reasoned, this thing can happen. And I thought, okay, let me just get on with my life. But in my subconscious, in the back burner, in there, things were happening. Psychotherapist said what happened in that period basically is I had a crisis of identity. Like me, Gerald Fiore, I don't know, my name was different obviously at birth, and Louise, I think my name was. Who the hell is this Louise? So in that moment, I died. Like, my identity died. My whole life, I thought, was a lie, or I was not the butt of a joke, but like, I didn't know about my history or who I am, but everybody knew. It felt so weird. So this is when I had a problem with authority, and I had a problem with trusting anybody. At that point, I didn't trust anybody. But afterwards, my parents died, my relatives died, symbolically, and so my little brain linked this trauma and death to actual deaths in and around me, like family members died of cancer. So then, and friends of my parents. So within a year, I was put on Seroxat. The reason why I was put on Seroxat is because I kept having to go to the doctor because I thought I had a lump here, I had a lump there, and the anxiety was so bad that I'd have to, like Badger, I'd have to go to the doctor and make sure that I was okay. I needed reassurance. Until I got that reassurance, I couldn't like function. So, and the thing is, you feel really, really, really down, so down. So, I mean, this is normal, and you're all the way down here, really, every day like this. And once you get that reassurance, boom, it's like a high. Oh, I'm alive again, or you have a new lease on life, lease on you have a new. It's like you're resurrected, you're born again. Because basically you think you're dying, and there's nothing that anybody can tell you apart from the reassurance of a GP, some kind of diagnostic test or whatever. That's the only thing that will quell the fear, that will bring you out of it. So I started having these problems, and then to drown those fears, that anxiety, that health anxiety, or death or cancer anxiety, I had to take Seroxat. As soon as I started taking it, then yeah, it all went away. I mean, it didn't completely go away, but it went away like 80 to 90%. So yeah, so that's when it started. And although I've taken antidepressants, the SSRI, Seroxat, or in America it's called Paxil, although I've taken it for 30 years, I haven't taken the full dose. I took the full dose the first few years, maybe the first 10 years or whatever, or what was it? Hang on, it's first 15 years maybe. And for 15, after the last 15 years, let's say, I've reduced, or was it last 10 years? I'm not sure, but I reduced to 15 milligrams because I was on 20 milligrams. Then I reduced all the way to 5 milligrams. Was it about 5 or 6? I don't know, maybe even 8 years ago. That's my sticking point. As soon as I go down to 2.5, all hell breaks loose. So the 5 milligram just about keeps me above water. I'm like this. I could just about survive. If I took, if I took 2.5, then I'm having to go like this to try and survive. But 5 milligrams is just like this. Like 10 milligrams I'll be chilled out. Oh, where's the problem? No problem. You know. But I want to take as less as possible in case I poop out. Poop out. Because there is something called poop out where the drugs don't work anymore. Suddenly, one day, you take your tablets and then they don't work. Not only do they not work, your depression comes back, but also you go into withdrawal. And that must be really scary. So I think what psychiatrists do is they quickly put you onto another SSRI that not focuses on, but that stimulates the production not only of serotonin, but more of like dopamine. So like something like Wellbutrin or some other drug. So it targets two neurotransmitters. And I think, yeah, that's making the problem, not making the problem worse, but it seems like your brain's getting worse. It's like prescription glasses. They keep changing them and giving you a stronger and stronger one because your eyes are becoming weaker and weaker. So that's the way I see it. So if I can keep my prescription of medicine down to the lowest, the only problem with that is you're suffering all the time. You're suffering all the time. I mean, if I was taking 10 milligrams, I'll be chilled out as hell. Sometimes I think maybe I should do that. And you would see a different me. You would see a really talkative me. You would see, and there are two me's. There's a Seroxat me, and there's a real me, which is maybe not so nice to see. That rhymes, yeah. This real me is the one that's crying, depressed, life is a mess, chaos, no organization, nothing. And then you have this point here when the drugs that you take, you reach a point where you can function. So at this level here, so I could just about function. So if it goes to here, look, there's no, I can't function anymore. There's chaos, there's a disaster. So the real me is kind of up here, chaos, at least for a temporary period maybe, and then maybe I would be able to stabilize. But I've never been able to do that because once you go into withdrawal, then all hell breaks loose, and then you think, oh, okay, let me ride it. The thing is, every day is like hell, and you give up trying to ride it because it's just too much. So a few days go by and you think, when is this going to stop? When is it going to stop? Look, maybe I can only last maybe 3 days or something. You can't last like a week or 2 weeks of hell. You just can't. And then the drug pulls me back, or the depression or whatever pulls me back into the drug. And you'll do anything just to feel normal, just to feel no pain. And it's not the physical pain as well, but it's emotional and mental pain. So what does health anxiety look like? Well, it's just that. you know, you might see something online, or you see a person who's got the problem, and then slowly that this thing kind of worms its way into your brain, and you might even forget about it, you know, like consciously. Within a few days, you might have the same pain that that person had. And then you'll think, I mean, so you know it's your brain, right? You know it's your brain because, oh, yeah, I saw that person had COVID, or the person had some kind of illness. And then you think, hang on, I've got a problem here breathing. Maybe because I didn't do any exercise. Maybe because I stood close to that person too much. And then you kind of forget about it. The next day or later on, you think about it again. Oh, what if I've got COVID? It's just like it's like a whisper. What if you got COVID? You know, what if I've got COVID? What if whatever? What if I've got this illness? And it goes on and on and on and on until you deal with it. Until you deal with it, you have to deal with it. You have to answer it. It's like a part of you trying to protect you, and it nags you to death. You have to answer it. You have to go to the doctor or take the test to show this part of you, it's okay, I'm all right. That is bloody stressful, really stressful. It's exhausting until you go and find out that you're okay. This side of you nags you. It won't stop. It just won't stop. It gets worse and worse and worse. And over the years, I've had to go to the doctor so many times. But then I think over the last few years, I've given up. I've tried to fight it, which is really not a good thing, because even hypochondriacs or people who have health anxiety, they get sick and die. So when do you know? Like, for example, this is the way the brain like would trick you and will reason, and it's reasonable as well. It's not like it's like an illusion. It's not there. It's actually very reasonable, very plausible is the word, I think. It's very logical. So you might have a pain somewhere in your body, or you might have a lump, okay, and you think, oh, let me touch this lump. So you touch the lump, and you end up pressing it. You might maybe bruise it, and so the next day you think, hang on, I've got pain there now, or it's swollen. It's bigger than before. Is it because I touched it and I made it swell up, or is it because it's getting bigger anyway? What I would do is say to myself, okay, you're now um, somatization disorder. You are somatizing, or you're thinking that you've got an illness and it's getting worse. Okay, thank you for telling me that, but I don't think we have an illness. But then another thought comes in and says, what if you're wrong? All the time I've been wrong, but how do you know this time I'm wrong? You know, it's like a battle within you, because it's true. The one time that you say, oh, okay, you know, it's this again, it could be right. It could be the thing that it's like you can't trust your own mind. How do you know if you've got like a sickness that's going to kill you, or just a small thing that will go away on its own? You don't really know. So what I've done recently over the last few years is taken the risk of not seeing the doctor and seeing how things are. You still get that nagging. Listen, you haven't got to the doctor. Listen, look, you know, and your awareness goes to that area, and you start feeling pain. And then the way I reason is, if it was really bad, it's a bad thing. It would get worse. It would get worse, but it's not getting worse. So, but then your brain will say, wait, maybe it's a slow growing thing. Go and see the doctor. So health anxiety is like that, or hypochondria is like that. I don't know if it's called hypochondria, or what hypochondriacs suffer from. If any of you guys suffer from, you know, hypochondria, Let me know down below. Or health anxiety. It's a horrible thing, a really horrible thing. It's a nagging thing that stays in your mind. Lots of things, your life might be absolutely fantastic until something happens. You get a lump somewhere, you get a pain somewhere. What happens is your brain is going to focus on that. Your brain is going to focus on that to the exclusion of everything else. Like to the exclusion of your children, to the exclusion of your parents, to the exclusion of making money. Everything stops. Why does everything stop? Because if you think about it, if, for example, you're just about to die, all your resources, all your energy have to go to this area. What's the point of thinking about going into work or looking after your kids if you're going to die within the next week? It doesn't make sense, right? If an asteroid is going to hit the planet, you're not going to continue working and making plans for, the next few months. You're not. So basically, it takes all your energy, and this is what it does. It takes all your energy, all your resources. You don't think about anything, just that thing, just that thing. And that's what health anxiety is like for me. I've never spoken about it. The way I deal with health anxiety is to make myself as healthy as possible and to focus on longevity. Yeah, I suppose I'm kind of not, what's the word? Not buying into the idea, but playing its game. It's a really difficult one because naturally we want to protect ourselves and we want to survive. But where do you draw the line? Some people say you don't draw the line. If you feel like you've got a problem, you should go and see your doctor. You should do your best to be as healthy as possible. But it can be it has been for me, and it can be a real handicap because yeah, the way I explain it is you trust your own mind. You don't even trust yourself. But all you know is you're in pain, mental and emotional pain, and something inside you, I don't know, your ego, it drives you to deal with it. You have to deal with it. It doesn't stop. So once that comes, once you have that anxiety, everything goes on the back burner, and all your focus is on that thing. And if you can't see a doctor, or if you don't have the money to have a diagnostic test, or you can't see a specialist, your anxiety gets worse and worse and worse and worse. I suppose the way to deal with it is, like meditate, chill out when you have these thoughts, and keep yourself as healthy as possible. So that at least you're doing something to protect yourself. You're not eating junk, you're not drinking, smoking, you're not involved in a very bad lifestyle, so that you can minimize the chances of being really sick and something really bad happening to you. And some people take that to the extreme. So I suppose that's what I do. The way I deal with it is I take it to the extreme and try to be as healthy as possible. Yeah, so you could say that it still has a grip on me. Or maybe some people can say it's just a natural thing. It's a natural part of you that wants to defend you and is driving you to do all these good things in a horrible way, in the best way, actually, because you feel a massive amount of anxiety, and it shakes you out of your life to do something. It's just like people, like when they send comments and they say, pull yourself up, do some exercise, eat well, do this kind of diet, don't dwell on this bad stuff. It's almost the same as that, but you have that internal thing, a voice or an internal drive, something that pushes you, you know. Anyway, if you guys suffer from health anxiety, don't let me know, because I know. Let other people know in the comments how serious it is. And again, normies or normal people, they won't understand. They really won't understand. But you guys understand. It is like a hell, really. But, you know, maybe there's a reason for it, maybe the reason isn't so bad. The reason is that a part of you wants you to survive so much that it creates thoughts, feelings, actual physical problems, so that you go out and deal with them. It challenges you to be better, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you were built for greatness, and then it sees you not doing things that, you know, would extend your life or would keep you healthy, you know. So it creates problems for you, so that you react. You have to react and get better. I don't know. All right, guys. I'll speak to you another time. Like, dislike, and have a nice day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all your time. You know, time is energy and the life force. You know, you spent, like, if you got up to this point, 35 minutes of your own life listening to this guy, to me. I hope some of this is of value and it's helped you, or will help somebody else. Thank you very much. Bye.